Well, halving all building energy use by 2030, we really wanted to see how much of that could be achieved through energy efficiency and systems efficiencies, and how much we'd need to rely on bigger picture change like grid decarbonisation. So our findings and our report show that it is achievable. It's achievable soon. It could be achieved earlier than 2030. It depends on the pace of regulation change, really. Obviously, a lot could also be achieved, given that we found many case studies where clients and development teams have managed to achieve this already. There are other actions which could incentivise early adopters, if you like, with, people who don't necessarily need to wait for regulation change. And so we've made some suggestions to government about that. Incentives through planning, for example. Even, dare I say it, sort of VAT incentives or stamp duty incentives, fiscal incentives on energy efficient building. The original announcement of the Buildings Mission was very much framed within the context of clean growth, which is why our findings that you can halve all energy use by good energy efficiency and decent systems efficiencies mean that actually, it could provide really big supply chain opportunities for us, and even promoting the ability to promote better UK expertise abroad. So I think if we can focus on the energy side, the energy efficiency side, and the fabric side, then this could be an opportunity for a homegrown industry. Whereas at the moment we import quite a lot of our high performance fabric and systems. Well, our objective is net zero, and clearly the recent report by the Climate Change Committee, which government have now resolved to adopt for 2050, net zero for 2050, involves all the sectors in our economy. But in terms of building emissions, we are still reliant on some bigger picture things to happen. We're decarbonised grid, embodied energy accounting, all that sort of thing. But actually halving the demand, which is effectively what we've done, makes that easier, I would say, because we're therefore placing less of a burden on the grid to sort of solve our problems. So I would say this is a really critical step for the built environment. I mean, the real elephant in the room is what you do with our existing building stock. That's a much bigger challenge, and the government have announced that they want to halve all the energy from the existing stock, but they haven't ascribed the 2030 target to it. But clearly that is something that needs to be urgently addressed. So the way we looked at the examples that we found, we've actually found 15 examples of buildings across different sectors which already perform to this standard, without any massive, fixes in terms of off-site windmills or, grid decarbonisation. So actually, these aren't expensive buildings. They're not weird buildings. They're kind of normal buildings, but just because of particular context in which they were procured and designed and delivered, the team was motivated, sometimes through a contractual requirement, to deliver on an actual energy target, and that obviously worked because they've been proven through monitoring to have a really good energy efficiency and a low energy demand. Well, the commentary that we've put in our case study background report shows clearly that actually, and indeed it was our first task, was to really understand what it was we were looking to halve. So actually a proper and deep understanding of where all energy is expended in buildings is absolutely key to this. And of course, we're in the world of smart meters and sensors, and the wonderful world of that bit of the technology is at our disposal. So actually finding out, scrutinising where those building energy loads are is key to halving demand, because clearly we, through our case studies, have shown that it can be done through, principally through fabric efficiencies and systems efficiencies. But we need benchmarks of where we are now, because the mission was framed, half all energy, at least half of all energy used under today's circumstances. So we've found out a lot about that just by proper scrutiny, and I think that's the way we need to approach the problem at scale.